Hello all, in today's video we're going to talk about Type 18, Type 19 Augs and their stacking issues if they have any. So please keep in mind right now that this is currently information for TOV and TBL. With the new expansion coming out very soon, things may change dramatically. So I will update any information when we get it, when it hits that point. But for now, this is what is currently in game. So before I get into the actual Augs and whatnot, just what is a Type 18 and Type 19 Augs? So this was something introduced in the TBL expansion, the Burning Lands expansion, where there were four different pieces of equipment that were obtained from the Fight Fire group mission that had high requirements to do. For example, the boots required Explorer of every expansion. The gloves needed Hunter from POP, EOKROS. The ring required champion of EOKROS, and then the shoulders required collects from COTF to current. So some of those requirements were pretty big, like big time sinks. So not everyone has it, but if you happen to have those pieces, good job on that. And you'll have equipment once you grind out the experience to fit the Type 18s or 19 Augs. And then in TOV, they introduced the earring, which gave the fifth piece of equipment that could have the Type 18, 19 Augs. So what is significant now about these gears is that you can customize. These Augs will allow you to uh, make the piece of gear more suited to your playstyle or to your class. So they're pretty good. And then also they were or are best in slot for, current right now. And again, I don't know what's going to happen next expansion, but we're just talking about the now. So real quickly, just, look at it. These are the shoulders, these are the boots, this is the ring, that's the earring, and then this is the gloves. So they're pretty good. They're really good pieces, in fact. So let's get into this. Augs. In TBL, they introduced Whispering Midnight Augs, which were obtained from group content. Any of these Augs, after many, many changes, they decided it could drop from any mob in any TBL zone, in addition to GMM. Um, and then name mobs have a higher chance of dropping these Augs, the Whispering Augs. In addition to that, in group content, they dropped Stat Augs, the Secret Dawn, or the Weeping Heavens. I'll leave links below for all this information here, but basically you'll see, let's say you are a caster, you're going to want, Hikmah, which is going to give you uh, heroic wisdom and you if you had a choice, you're probably not going to want to get the one that has heroic strength into it, or you wouldn't probably wouldn't want Qua unless it's just to fill an empty slot. And then those are for the heroic stats ones, just the pure stats one. Now, just keep in mind with the stat walks, there's no conflict, there's no lore group, there's nothing. You can have them all in gear for all that matters. There's no problem with that. You'll get all the stats. Now let's talk stacking issues. We'll go one by one. Weeping Midnight for any variation, whether it be in TBL or TOV versions. Because basically what the dev did is for TOV, he basically just copy and pasted all the ones with focuses. So you'll see like Assaulting Fire, and then Assaulting Fire, and then Assaulting Ice he'll have, and then so forth like that. So they repeat Assaulting Ice. Type 18s and 19s. So I'm just going to go by the types. Assaulting Fire, they will stack with each other, so you can have up to four of them. So what Assaulting Fire does is, if you're a melee class or hybrid class that swings your weapon, you're going to do more damage. Every time you swing, you'll have a chance to proc a additional damage. Assaulting Magic. So Assaulting Fire and Magic are in the same lore group. You cannot have them uh, both at the same time, so you have to pick either or. For the most part, Uh, they both have high resist mods, meaning like they won't get resisted much unless it's one of those mobs that have 100%. So either or of these are fine. You could have a combination. So let's say You have the group Assaulting Fire. You could have the raid version of Assaulting Magic, and that'll be fine. They are separate Augs, so in total, you can have four different melee assaulting Augs as a hybrid or melee class, so those are good. Um, Attacker, you can have up to four different attackers. These stack no problem. Again, if you're a melee class, this is probably something you want. This increases your accuracy, so you basically will not, you will not miss more. So all four versions stack. So attacker from group version of TBL, group version player made of TOV, raid version TBL, raid version TOV. They will all stack and increase your accuracy. So those are good things. Casting Fire is in the same boat as Casting Magic. They're both part of the same lore group. You can have one or the other. You can't have both. So you're gonna have up to four casting ones if you're a nuker or daughter or whatever you do. Um, so here's the one thing about this. In TBL, for casting fire to work, you had to have cast fire or chromatic spells. So that's going to work for druids, rangers, mages, wizards. Chromatic is going to be cleric, enchanters. I believe that's it. And then magic is going to be like shamans, necromancers, druids. You guys get the idea with that. So basically, if you cast either fire or magic or chromatic, you'll be able to use these. Enchanters can use both. Clerics with their chromatic nuke can use both, either or rather. And then same thing goes for the raid version of TBL for the casting or magic, same lore group, but you have to cast that type spell. In TOV for the casting ice, he changed it so that you can use any spell type. So if you have a disease, poison, corruption, fire, doesn't matter. It'll proc with it. So those are good things. So casters, hybrids, if you nuke, you can have up to four of if you have the correct types. Going down the next one, defender. These are good. These increase soft cap. These also all stack together. So here's the one thing about this. It's percentage base, and percentage base generally means as the game progresses, it will progress at a steady rate. Um, if you can have more of them, that's obviously better. But then just keep in mind it's like 20 AC AUG only, and then depending on what your current AC is at and such, it may not be a great AUG for you. You may want to just go with a higher AC one that's like 70 or something like that. So that's something you're going to have to look at your stat page and see which AUG will be best for you. But certainly getting all four if you have the opportunity and then juggling it around, figuring out if it works for you or not is a good thing. So there's that. These logs, big sigh. Defending fire, defending magic, and then the TOV versions defending ice. I think they're trash. Like I'm sure some people will disagree with that, but basically you take less damage, mitigate blah 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 of that specific type. I don't like restrictions like that. I like my Augs to do something every time as in as much a scenario as possible. Um, they're part of the same lore group and there are stacking issues with other things, but I think these are trash Augs, so I personally don't use them, nor would I ever suggest them. The next AUG is dorsal defense. So any of the dorsals will stack with each other. There are four different versions, but it will only take the highest one. So there's no, you should not wear multiple of them. And the dorsal one is the rear one. And I don't like it. Like, this is another AUG that I don't like. Like, for the most part, if I have my back turned to a mob, I'm not in a good position where 1% damage mitigation is really going to help me. So the dorsal one, unless you're like a rogue and you're in a group where an enchanter trains you often, maybe. But in 9 out of 10 cases, you probably shouldn't be taking damage from the back. They have the Whispering Midnight Enhancement Augs. These are great because these are like 20 to all stats. Um, Generally good for all classes. It's a good Aug. And again, stat Augs themselves, they stack no problem. Protecting is in the same boat for me as defending. Um, it's very specific, protecting versus fire, protecting versus magic, protecting versus ice. Unless you feel yourself in a situation where you're taking a lot of fire damage often, or a lot of magic damage often, or a lot of ice damage often. But again, I think it's kind of trash. So I wouldn't bother with these. Whispering Midnight Soothing. So the Soothing Augs do not stack with each other, and it will, if you have multiple on, it will only take the highest one. So the highest one is going to be TOV, the raid version, the devotee one. So you're going to want Soothing on that, and that's good for most classes. It's basically when someone casts a heal spell, you get healed more. So that's a good thing. Ventral Defense, this is a dog that I like for a lot of classes. Basically, it's a pure 1% mitigation. I think the Devotee is higher. So let's look at that real quick. Uh, it's 1.1, so it's zero point 0.1 higher than the TBL one, so not a bad thing. Um, it's good. Taking 1% less damage is huge. It, lessens the curve, your spike curve, and all that good stuff. So good thing. Warding, same boat. Trash, in my opinion. Uh, I wouldn't bother with that. So those are basically the focus augs, stacking and whatnot. Uh, Figure out what your class is. So you sort it out. Let me give you an example of it. Let's say I only have two things, two chase items. What am I going to get? So if I was a warrior, I'd probably go with the things that have the highest focuses. So I would say devotee, I would definitely go with soothing, ventral, and then probably the Dexog. I think that's, is it this one? No, no. This one? No, this one. Yeah, I would probably go to because the Dexogs tend to have the highest AC, so that's three. And then I would probably take the next highest stat AC Augs on that. If I was a caster, um, for sure I would get the four casting fire or ice ones, and then some stat ones on the side or something like that. So depending on how many chase items, you're going to want to make a priority list. And as I mentioned in another video, look at the ones that give you the focuses or the sympathetic procs first, and then the stat stuff. All right. So that's basic information on the type 18s and 19s and stacking issues. So I hope this video was useful. If anyone has any questions, always feel free to contact me in game. No problem. Thank you.